Upon arriving at my in-laws' residence, my husband and I were greeted warmly by my mother-in-law's smile. However, as I attempted to step inside, she halted me with a stern glare, asserting, "You're not needed here," before swiftly shutting the door. I stood bewildered, momentarily frozen by her unexpected rejection. When I cautiously reopened the door, her expression was one of seething anger. "I've heard the rumors. Your parents' financial troubles, aren't they? We don't want that kind of baggage here," she spat out before slamming the door once more. I stood outside, dumbfounded, clutching my bags. Through the closed door, the sounds of laughter between my husband and his mother echoed, leaving me feeling utterly abandoned. Realizing I deserved better treatment, I made the swift decision to depart, leaving behind the toxic atmosphere of my in-laws' home. I'm Nancy, a 32-year-old physician at the hospital established by my parents. It was there that I first encountered John, my now husband, when he was admitted following an injury. His charm, amiability, and engaging conversation quickly captured my attention. Despite being 5 years my junior, John exuded a sense of maturity and reliability that drew me in. After a year of courtship, we tied the knot. Meanwhile, John holds the position of vice president in his father's company, a role he carries out with diligence and skill. Interestingly, John's mother also holds a position within his father's company, adding a familial connection to their professional lives. When John and I announced our marriage, both of his parents expressed immense joy and excitement at the union. "Your parents built a renowned hospital, and now one of their own is marrying into our family as a doctor. It feels like a dream come true. We're truly delighted to welcome you, Nancy," my mother-in-law used to remark fondly. Every holiday season, including Christmas and other extended breaks, we made the customary trip to my in-laws' abode, where we were always received with open arms. I'd bring along delectable treats and beverages, serving as gifts for their New Year's festivities. My mother-in-law would orchestrate the cooking, graciously declining my offers of assistance. "Nancy, you toil tirelessly as a doctor. Just relax and enjoy your time here. Your family, there's no need for you to lift a finger," my husband would reassure me. Anticipation always tinged these visits with excitement, but today felt peculiar, particularly in my mother-in-law's demeanor. Her once warm gaze now bore into me with an icy chill, akin to that of a vampire. It marked the first instance of such frostiness from them. Debt? Such a concept had never crossed my mind in my parents' household. I have a younger brother, a fellow doctor, who works alongside me at our family's hospital. While my father had recently broached the topic of his health in a discussion with me, there had been no mention of any financial woes. As I drove home, a conversation from a week ago with my husband replayed in my mind. Despite our demanding careers, we coincidentally arrived home together that day. "I heard from my dad. He's considering retirement from surgery due to his declining eyesight. They decided to close the hospital," I informed him. My husband's reaction was one of disbelief. "The hospital shutting down? Could it be due to debts or something?" he questioned, visibly startled. "I'm not certain about debts, but they're discussing selling the hospital property. So, it looks like you won't be continuing your work there, and I might take a break for a while," I explained, before an emergency call from the hospital abruptly interrupted our conversation. "We'll have to pick this up later," I hastily added, realizing there was little time to spare. Later on, my husband justified his prolonged absences by citing work commitments, leaving us with scant opportunities to connect due to my night shifts. I suspected he may have embellished our conversation, perhaps implying to his parents that my family's hospital closure was linked to financial troubles and my involvement in resolving them. However, the frigid reception from my mother-in-law remained unfathomable. Lost in contemplation, I was en route home when a ringing phone from my bag jolted me from my reverie. Locked out by my mother-in-law, I had inadvertently driven off with my husband's belongings still in the car. His incessantly ringing phone piqued my concern. Though I had never entertained the idea of snooping before, the urgency of the situation nudged me to glance at the screen. Stopping the car, I retrieved his phone and attempted to unlock it, speculating that my husband's aversion to complexity would render the password simple. As anticipated, it yielded to his birth date. The caller, identified as Susan, was unfamiliar to me. Curiosity getting the better of me, I sifted through the message history, and what I discovered was nothing short of startling. "I want to see you soon. I wish I could be with Susan forever. I'll be with my wife during the New Year holidays. I'll miss you. Once I get the money, I plan to leave her." Really? That makes me happy. I love Susan the most. These were the damning messages I found on my husband's phone, betraying his infidelity. My perception of him, along with my in-laws, crumbled in an instant. With no one else to confide in, I couldn't shake off the weight of the evidence I had discovered. Driven by a need for further confirmation, I ventured into my husband's study in search of more incriminating evidence. Rifling through his belongings, I stumbled upon a drawer containing photographs of him with an unfamiliar woman, presumably taken during a trip, alongside hotel receipts and other damning documents. Each revelation struck like a blow to my already shattered trust. Unable to bear the weight of this betrayal alone, I made the decision to seek solace at my parents' home. As I pressed the doorbell, it was my mother who greeted me, her surprise evident as she swung the door open. "Why are you here so late? You look pale. Are you okay?" My mother's concerned voice greeted me as tears welled in my eyes. Her caring presence was a balm to my distraught soul as she swiftly enveloped me in a warm blanket. Sensing my distress, my father's concern was palpable as he inquired about what had transpired. With trembling lips, I recounted the unsettling behavior of my in-laws. My mother's shock mirrored my own, while my father's anger simmered beneath the surface. "Such despicable, ungrateful behavior," he seethed. In a twist of fate, it emerged that my husband's family business was floundering, and they had frequently turned to my father for financial assistance, a fact previously unbeknownst to me. "Perhaps, for the sake of clarity, you should continue to observe their actions and discern their true intentions," my father suggested, his proposal laden with intrigue. At that moment, the idea held a peculiar allure. The following day, I mustered the courage to return to my in-laws' residence. Standing at the entrance, I raised my voice. I apologized for my immaturity as a wife. "Please allow me back in." Along with my apology, I presented an array of gourmet ingredients and fine wine as peace offerings. Eventually granted entry, I was met with a smug expression from my mother-in-law as she observed the luxurious gifts. Behind her, both my father-in-law and husband greeted me with icy stares. "We extended kindness to you under the assumption of your prestigious familial background. However, now that we're aware of your family's financial struggles, you'll need to exert yourself as a diligent wife," my mother-in-law declared, her words laced with disdain. Acknowledging the situation, I braced myself for the relentless mistreatment that followed. "Come on, get moving. Start cooking," she commanded, pushing me towards the kitchen. With the ingredients I had brought, I diligently prepared dishes and served them to my father-in-law, mother-in-law, and husband, who eagerly dug in. "Hey, we need more wine. Hurry up and fetch another bottle. You're so careless. Is this all you've prepared? You might be a skilled doctor, but you're utterly incompetent as a homemaker." They grumbled yet devoured every last bite. As I attempted to join them for a meal, my mother-in-law abruptly slapped my hand, causing my fork to clatter to the floor. "What do you think you're doing, sitting here? Do you expect to dine with us? Housemaids eat in the kitchen. So now I'm just a housekeeper," I retorted incredulously, my voice trembling with disbelief. "How dare you speak to me like this, John? Especially when your family's fortunes have dwindled. Is that how you truly feel? And you, Nancy, with your arrogant demeanor. I always despised it, but I tolerated it under the illusion of your family's wealth. Listen to your mother. I'll keep you around as nothing more than a housekeeper." John's words cut through me like a knife, shattering any lingering hope that his behavior was merely a facade. Realization dawned upon me. My husband's callous behavior was his true nature all along. Left alone in the cold kitchen, I resigned myself to eating the leftover scraps and facing a mountain of dirty dishes. "Save water and wash in cold," they instructed, a cruel directive that felt particularly harsh in the biting winter cold, causing my entire body to tremble uncontrollably. When night fell, my mother-in-law pointed towards a frigid shed devoid of any warmth or comfort. "Where's the bed?" I questioned, hoping for at least a semblance of decency. "What? You expect a bed?" she scoffed. "There are some old towels and cardboard in the shed. Make do," she replied callously, leaving me to confront the harsh reality of my situation. Recognizing their true colors, I discreetly recorded their abusive tirade. With nothing left to bind me to that toxic environment, I resolved to leave that house for good. That night, as I shivered in the freezing shed, my anger towards my father-in-law, mother-in-law, and husband served as my only source of warmth. "I'll never forgive them. I vowed, my determination burning brighter than the biting cold. In the dead of night, after they had succumbed to drunken stupor, I silently slipped away and drove back to the sanctuary of my parents' home. As I awoke to a new day and began packing my belongings, the door burst open, and my mother-in-law and husband barged in. Do you think you can simply abandon your duties without even preparing breakfast? How dare you leave your husband behind? Their accusatory glare sent a chill down my spine. It seemed my father-in-law was absent, but my husband and mother-in-law had no qualms about continuing their onslaught of disdain. I am finished with both of you, I declared, my voice trembling with resolve. How dare you speak back to your mother-in-law and husband? You were even more insufferable than I had imagined. If you wish for a divorce, so be it. But remember, if you initiate it, you will be the one paying compensation. Perhaps you can consider selling off the hospital's land. It should fetch a handsome sum. We'll take that, my father-in-law retorted coldly, his words dripping with malice. Though I had intended my words to be sarcastic, my husband merely smirked, believing he held the upper hand. To my dismay, he flung a paper in my direction. It was a pre-filled divorce application. If you refuse to comply with my demands, I will not hesitate to use this, he threatened, brandishing the document. Very well, this clarifies things for me, I replied calmly, though my heart was heavy with disappointment. What? Did you expect me to plead with you to stay, burdened with a hospital on the brink of bankruptcy and drowning in debt? I have no choice but to hold on to you, isn't that right? My husband's misconception of my intentions left me speechless. While it's true that my father retired and closed down the current hospital, we have plans to relocate to a new facility near the train station. Both my brother and I will continue our work there, with me serving as the director. Contrary to what you may have heard, we are far from being in debt. In fact, we possess more than enough assets to sustain us comfortably, I explained calmly, watching as my husband and mother-in-law's faces drained of color. This cannot be true. You deceived me, my husband stammered, his voice tinged with disbelief. I attempted to clarify, but you refused to listen and instead jumped to conclusions. So your family is still affluent, is it? Then what? My mother-in-law interjected anxiously, her panic evident. Can we just forget everything that transpired yesterday and today? After all, we've always been on good terms, haven't we? She pleaded, attempting to brush aside the events of the past few days. Her sudden change of heart struck me as laughable after enduring such insults. I'm astounded that you would spew such vile abuse at me and then have the audacity to ask me to forget it all. Remember, according to you, I'm just the housekeeper, right? I retorted, my tone laced with bitterness. No, it was all a misunderstanding. Please, let's just move past this, my husband pleaded, his voice tinged with desperation. It's too late for apologies. I see through your facade now. By the way, my father will be reclaiming the $100,000 he loaned to your company, I retorted, my tone resolute. What? How did you find out about that? We don't have that kind of money, my husband exclaimed, panic creeping into his voice as he realized the magnitude of his error. Nancy, I apologize. I should have stood up for you against Mom. I promise to support you from now on, he implored, his words dripping with regret. You mean support Susan, right? I countered sharply, my patience wearing thin. How did you know about Susan? You were seeing her behind my back while pretending to work late. But I have all the evidence, I declared, displaying the incriminating photos and email exchanges on my phone. My husband's face paled as he stared at the damning evidence, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. You will be the one compensating me. Susan was just a meaningless fling I met at a bar. I'll end things with her. Please find it in your heart to forgive me, my husband pleaded, his apology accompanied by a pitiful demeanor. Tears and drool mingled on the floor, lending him an air of wretchedness. But that wasn't the end of it. I presented him with a photo of a life insurance policy taken out in my name and a detailed pamphlet on car maintenance, conspicuously highlighting a section regarding brake tampering. Not only did you covet my family's wealth, but you also plotted against my life. I've already informed the authorities, so your threats hold no sway over me anymore, I stated firmly, my resolve unwavering. My company is in dire straits. I need the money. Please, I beg you to help me, he pleaded desperately. Don't be absurd. From now on, all communication will be conducted through our lawyers. I never want to lay eyes on you again, I retorted coldly. As he lunged towards me, my father and brother emerged from the back room, swiftly restraining him. Pinned to the ground, he wept uncontrollably, while my mother-in-law stood by, rendered speechless by the unfolding spectacle. The house is registered under my name. I intend to sell it, so I'd appreciate it if you could vacate as soon as possible, I informed my husband and mother-in-law, who had always found excuses to prolong their stay. Eventually, my brother stepped in and firmly escorted them out. Following that, I initiated divorce proceedings. Both my husband and the woman he had been unfaithful with provided compensation. Despite his persistent pleas for reconciliation, I remained resolute. It was only when I threatened to involve the authorities that he ceased his attempts to reconcile. Through legal channels, I pursued repayment from my father-in-law's company, and the $100,000 loaned by my father was successfully retrieved. With my father-in-law's business already on shaky ground, it eventually succumbed to bankruptcy, burdened with substantial debts. Now, my father-in-law, mother-in-law, and husband reside in a modest, rundown apartment. Despite their efforts, juggling multiple part-time and day jobs, they struggle to stay afloat amidst their financial woes. Meanwhile, I have found fulfillment in my role as the director of a recently established hospital, thanks to the support of my brother. Together, we are committed to providing aid to those grappling with injuries and illnesses. I've invested in a comfortable apartment near the hospital and in relishing the independence of living life on my own terms.